Before the discovery of the smallpox vaccine, smallpox was in fact used as a weapon. One of the best documented examples of this occurred during the French and Indian War. The British had been defeated in their attempt to conquer Fort Carillon on Lake Champlain, so Sir Geoffrey Amherst, commander of the British forces, met with Indians who were sympathetic to the French. Under the pretense of friendship, he deliberately offered them blankets previously used by smallpox victims. The Indians, who lacked immunity to smallpox, suffered a devastating outbreak of the disease. The English were then able to successfully attack the fort, which, by the way, was renamed Fort Ticonderoga. Military forces have also been devastated by endemic smallpox.
Yep. Yeah, I had Graham Hancock on last week, and we were going over his new book. This book. Where is it? Isn't it right here, Jamie? It's right there. It's fucking, it's excellent. And Graham was talking about, it's called America Before. It's the evidence of civilizations in the Americas, in North America, particularly in the Amazon. They think that there was millions of people living in the Amazon, but when the European explorers came over here, they gave them smallpox and wiped out everyone. Yeah. And they came back hundreds of years later, and there was nothing. Yep. Like the entire civilization wiped out by diseases.
I feel like in 1492 or whatever, there was I think when the Spanish came up through the Mississippi Delta, the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
They wiped out 90, a lot of people think that the genocide of the Native Americans was just European soldiers and people and settlers killing Native Americans, which did happen.
Yeah, but it was also influenza.
But 90% of them were killed by disease. Yeah. 90%. Like the entire population was devastated.
They even had certain government policies where they're like, you missionaries are going out there and trying to convert them to Christianity. You're giving them your diseases.
They knew that back then?
They knew that. They were like, they're getting sick and they're dying of, they were all of a sudden they were like, we're getting these colds and people are dying. They didn't have any resistance to it.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. That those dirty Europeans with their shit water chutes outside their house and all the fucking vermin running around.
That was War of the Worlds. Remember War of the Worlds, the movie?
That's right. The disease.
How'd they die? They weren't ready for pathogens.
America can stand back right now and watch as my own people attack some of our traditional people for believing in our own Lakota way of life.
The media often portrays us as like these sad, like poverty-stricken people.
There isn't that focus on who we are today.
We live on the poorest county in America. It's poverty-stricken, but just because we live in poverty don't mean we're poor.
Do you feel American?
Nah, I've always been taught we were Indian. We were Lakota first before we were anything else, before we were Christian, before we were American.
Okay, so I've just woke up in the Rosebud Reservation here in South Dakota. I'm on a beautiful ranch with lots of chickens and horses. I'm going to be spending a few days here sleeping in people's houses and in the Pine Ridge Reservation about 2 hours from here. I want to find out what it's like to live here, but also how younger people can envisage their future and how they feel about modern day America as a Native American.
Around here it's kind of hard because all the drugs and alcohol.
So it's a very hard place to grow up in a lot of ways.
The majority of people that are working on the res, you either work at the tribal office or IHS.
Not much to do around here, and when you do find something to do, you usually have to travel 20 miles or so longer.
There's a lot of suicides and that kind of stuff.
People lose hope and they feel maybe oppressed.
We've all fallen as teenagers around here, and we've all experimented with alcohol and things.
It's really sad to have alcohol here.
One thing about these kids here is they're survivors and they're fighters, and a lot of them are wanting change. They want something different. They want something better than our adults are leaving them.
We actually don't believe in the word Native American because Native American, it also has the word American in it.
They took everything from us. America's built on stolen lands. America is a stolen country.
We used to live with everything, you know, and now we're on these little reservations and we're all clumped together, and we shouldn't be like that.
Like non-natives see us as these historic people with the loincloth and headdress.
Because you see the Washington Redskins, you see the Cleveland Indians, you see all of that, and it's a big joke, and you hear, everybody knows the phrase drunken Indian.
We may live in this really rough situation, you know, and it's very real, but that there's hope and that our culture is alive still.
I think it's important for us to have, for our young people to have role models and to see other people going out and doing big things and coming back to the reservation and showing them that there's other things that out there and this is what we're doing and you can do this too, you know.
Of course, there's high rates of suicide and alcoholism on any reservation, but that's because of the lack of ability to express oneself.
Right.
Hi, we are Scattered Around. I'm Scotty Clifford.
And I'm Juliana Brown Eyes.
We recently just acquired a record deal out in Los Angeles, so that'll be fun. As much as we can do, and just to show children here at home that we really need to get away from the poor, pitiful, pissed off Indian.
All that matters now is what we do for ourselves. I'm gonna need you to do something, Sunkala. I'm gonna need you to trust me.
This film is an opportunity to give, you know, our youth, our native youth, kind of these heroes and heroines to look up to, you know. I think that's something that I wanted when I was growing up, was to see someone like myself. You don't see a lot of native characters kind of leading in mainstream movies, you know, in big blockbuster movies. It's always usually it's, you know, a predominantly white cast.
I want to see our people thrive and not get caught up in what outsiders think we are and stereotype us as, but rise up and show the world what we can do, basically.